Field of view with triple screens is tricky. Whether you've got flat or curved monitors, you might be missing that natural feeling in sim racing. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It doesn't have to be that way. I've been meaning to make a video on this for a bit now. I developed a method that gets the perfect FOV and immersion, and it's super easy. So today, I'm going to show you how. So first things first, let's talk about seat position, because this is going to determine how we set up our monitors around us. We're going to go over a few quick tips that are going to help you for both comfort and performance in your rig. For the wheel, let's set the height of the center of the wheel in line with our chest or our shoulders, and then angle it at our chin. And then as far as distance, we want to be able to rest our wrists comfortably on the top of the wheel. If we're rolling our shoulders forward like this, it's too far away. What this is going to look like is a perfect 90-degree bend in our elbows and a nice straight wrist angle that's going to help you avoid those nasty pains. And as far as pedals go, we want our legs to have a slight bend to them even as we're pressing the pedals fully. We don't want our legs totally straight, but we also don't want to be totally cramped up. And this is going to come down to personal preference a little bit for you. All right, on to our monitors. So the first monitor that we set up is going to be the one in the middle. Let's set that up to be centered horizontally, but also as close as we can get centered vertically. This is going to come into play later when we're setting up our FOV in the sim. So try to get that as low as you can so that it's almost sitting on top of your wheelbase, but maybe not quite touching. Distance to your center monitor, we want it to be somewhere between 23 and 28 inches. That's the range that I recommend. If you're in that range of 23 to 28 inches, it's going to help get a more immersive feeling for you. And to measure eye distance, let's grab a measuring tape, because we're going to be using this a little bit. Then, sit comfortably in your rig, and measure the distance from the bridge of your nose to the center of your monitor. And let's write this number down, because we're going to use it later. And while we're at it, let's measure our monitor itself real quick. So go ahead and measure the width of the monitor, which for a 32-inch is often going to be 28 inches, and then the bezel of each side, which for my monitors is 1/4 of an inch. And let's write these numbers down for later too. And now let's move on to our side monitors. And let's start with the right side just to make things easy. We want to position the monitor so that when we turn our head toward it, it's positioned directly at our face and not that we're looking at it from an angle. This avoids distortion and creates a more uniform wrap around us. For alignment of the monitors, we obviously want them to be as close to each other and as perfect as possible, but this isn't always possible with some rigs. So for this, I can recommend the advanced VESA mounts from Advanced Sim Racing. I'll link them down in the description. Go check those out because that'll help you get it perfectly accurate.
Now that you've set your right monitor to where you want it, let's go ahead and measure the diagonal distance of these two monitors. So let's measure from the top left of our center monitor to the top right of our right monitor, like so. For me, this was 49.75 inches, and you'll want to go ahead and write yours down now. And now that we've got our diagonal distance with the right monitor, let's set our left monitor to match it as well. Again, the monitor should be facing directly at you.
Now that you've got that done, all of our physical setup is done. So let's go move on to software. So pop open your Windows Explorer and go into the Documents, go into the iRacing folder, and look for Renderer DX11 Monitor. Let's go ahead and edit this in Notepad. Next, we're going to scroll down to the very bottom for display, and there's a couple values that we're going to edit in here. The first is going to be windowed width and windowed height. Because I'm using 1440p monitors, the windowed height is going to be 1440, but because we're using triple 1440s, we're going to take the width of that, which is 2560, multiply it by 3, and we get a value of 7680. And that's why you see 7680 in this windowed width. Finally, for device ID and windowed position, I have it set so that my device ID is on the center monitor here, and the windowed position is minus 2560 so that it starts on my left monitor and spans all the way to the right one. That's it for this file, so let's go ahead and click Save and exit out of here. Okay, one more step before we jump into iRacing. I'm going to have this link down in the description below, but we're going to open up a triangle calculator to calculate our monitor angles. For side B and side A, we're going to throw in 28 inches because that's the width of our monitor. And then for side C, we're going to enter the diagonal value between the center and the right, and then the left and the center monitors, right? The one we just used, which was 49.75 for my monitors. Finally, remove the top value for the C angle because that's the one we're calculating, and hit calculate. This gives us a value of 125 degrees up here, which we're just going to subtract from 180 to get a value of 55 degrees. 55 degrees is my monitor angle, so write that down, and we're going to use it in just a second. Now, let's jump into iRacing. Go ahead and load up a test session, whatever car, whatever track you would like, and go into the options menu, graphic, and then monitors. For monitor type, we're going to set this to 3 flat screens. Although 3 curved screens is an option, 3 flat screens is the only one that's currently supported by iRacing because 3 curved assumes that we don't have an angle between our monitors. So we're going to stick with 3 flat screens, make it super simple. For monitor width, this one's easy as well. We measured this a moment ago, and it's 28 inches. For bezel width, you enter that value. For mine, it's 1/4 of an inch, but for streaming, I have it set at 0. We want to check render scene using 3 projections and enable SMP. And then that value we just calculated for angle, 55 degrees. Put that in there. Finally, our viewing distance, let's go ahead and enter 23 inches and hit compute. That's it. Go ahead and hit done and done again. And next, let's go ahead and hop in the car real quick. We'll see here that things look a little bit off, but this is easy to fix. So we're going to use the shift and bracket keys, and you'll see this red horizon line comes up. The idea of this line is we want to get it so that it's perfectly in line with our eyes as we're looking straight forward. So let's go ahead and start adjusting it. And that looks pretty good. I'm looking straight forward at that line, and it's at a horizon of -10. If your eyes are perfectly aligned with the monitor vertically, then this isn't even a thing, and you'll leave it at 0. Finally, you can adjust the driver height per preference using the control and bracket keys. So this looks a little bit low in the car for my own taste. So for the Audi, I'm going to bump this up to about 1 inch. And that's it. You can adjust the driver height for each car, but your FOV is now perfectly set. And as you look around, it should look extremely natural and have that nice immersive feeling. You'll also notice an increased sense of speed and kind of depth perception as you're going throughout the track. And that's it for my perfect FOV guide for iRacing. So if you enjoyed this content, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and you can come watch me live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Rob Clark. We've got an awesome community. I'm also going to link my Discord server down in the description box below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or send me a message on Discord. I'll catch you guys later. Happy racing.